Welcome back to another show, but here, just wait. There's a little bit of change. Take a look at what we've done to our little YouTube studio that we have, which is my home office. But look how we've gone from this, are you ready, to this. Well, what do you think? Huh? How's it look, right? A little bit more, I think a little bit more professional, right? A little bit more YouTube-y, you know? I think it's nice. Got a nice little soft light here, little soft light here. Got a nice little ambiance in the back. So I don't know, from here on out, I think this is how it's gonna look. So thanks to you guys and this channel continuing to grow, we are able to grow ourselves. So check it out. What's up, advocates, and welcome back to another episode of the Commercial Claims Show. My favorite part about doing what we do, I mean, besides obviously helping out public adjusters throughout the entire country, really giving them some one-on-one personal service, some one-on-one personal touch on sort of how this insurance claim game works. This is what I really love to do also. I don't know, there's something, this is how it all started, right? Is the YouTube video. So this is the Commercial Claims Show. I'm your host, Vince Perry, licensed and certified public adjuster for the last 12 years in Florida, California, and Texas. I'm here to educate you as much as I can. I think my number one priority is probably educating the public adjuster. New and upcoming public adjusters who have been in the industry for anywhere from either they're not public adjusters yet and they're thinking about going into it, or even anybody that's been in the industry for 3 to 5 years or so. Pretty sure all of you guys are going to get a chance to sort of learn something new here in this channel. Today, oh, but wait, before I get into today, make sure that you subscribe right here. We are also on all of the social media platforms. Well, most of them, not all of them. We're here on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on Twitter. Now, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I'm not much of a Twitter guy, so we are not on Twitter, but we are on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Go check us out there. Also, if you have a chance, inside of the description, there is a link to our email list. Join our email list. There are things happening all the time. There are new courses that we're going to be putting up very soon that if you're not in our email list, you may not get first chance at that, and it may pass you by. You know, just recently we did a free webinar, and it's free, and we have to limit that stuff. And if you're not on the email list, you may not know, and you may not be able to sign up in time. We're doing a lot of free webinars now, so hopefully you guys get a chance to check those out. Last one we did was on the appraisal process, and it was top notch. So back to what we were going to say. Today I'm going to take a sip of water before we get into it, because I have a feeling I might be talking a lot. Today we're going to go through something different. Usually I talk about different stuff in the claims process and sort of what to learn, what to look for, how to build relationships, anything regarding the claims process. But I'm going to take you through an actual claim. I'm going to take you through a claim that I recently settled. We're going to call this a case study. Commercial Claims Advocate case study. Basically, I'm just going to take you through the claim from A to Z, from when the client called me to when we got them paid. The beauty about this one is we got an initial payment and we were able to get 500 times more in the dispute process. So it's pretty interesting. Also, this is a great claim to really show you all the documentation that I gather, everything that I sort of put together to make sure that the claim is presented correctly to the insurance company so that eventually you do get what you want for that claim. So without further ado, we're going to call this one, we're going to call this plumbing. This is the cast iron sewer line plumbing claim that we had. That basically we settled it about a month ago, and we're going to take it from the beginning. So the way it started was basically I was actually referred to this one by a water mitigation company. A client had a severe backup in the home. It was backed up in the master bathroom and in the kitchen. Really, really bad. I'm talking like category 3 water where it's very, very dangerous. The first people that they called was the was the water mitigation company. As soon as the water mitigation company went out there, he said, you need to call Vince because this is a kind of a complicated claim. You may not be able to take care of it yourself and you may want a public adjuster. So he called me. I was out there the same day. I tried to make sure that any of my referral sources, any of them at all, when they call me, not only do I answer my phone on that first or second ring, but I try to be there to make sure that I'm there, not just for the client, but for the referral source too. It makes them look very good, right? When they call that public adjuster and that PA is there the same day. So I was actually there, I think it was late afternoon. I ended up being there for a while and I'll tell you why. So I was there late afternoon. We saw the loss basically. We took a look at everything. Thankfully, they did some of the dry out already, unfortunately, and they did also take some photos, which was very good. It was very handy later on, but also the water mitigation company did a little bit of a dry out, but I was able to see a lot of the damage. So I'm going to show you some photos here. You'll be able to take a look at some of the photos that we have there, and you can see that the water damage is pretty significant. Okay, basically what was happening is honestly, it could have been going on behind the scenes for quite some time, because if you look at some of the damages, it does look a little bit old, but the fact of the matter is they had no issues before. The first time that this issue arose was when they called the water mitigation company, and as soon as that issue arrived, they went out there, and what happened was those cabinets behind there, they were very fragile already, and they were pretty much coming apart. And you could see in some of these photos that a part of the actual cabinet is being held up by a dishwasher. It's just brutal stuff, right? So basically what has happened, because we had to go in there, all right, we did the dry out, and then the first thing that I did was make sure, okay, we need to get a plumber. All right, we already know that it's a backup. And I'm going to tell you why we already know it's a backup too, is there was actually a claim filed, I think it was about 2 years before this one, and it was for a drain line backup as well. And it backed up, not in the kitchen on that case, it actually backed up in the master bathroom. As a result, they filed the claim. As a result, they were paid for that claim. And as a result, they actually replaced all of their wood flooring laminate that was damaged as a result of that loss. So I guess the good part is that we know that there's a problem, right? The bad part is that they've already, I don't know how to say, it's not even a bad part. It's okay that the insurance company knows that there was a loss that occurred, because they didn't pay them to actually fix the problem. They only paid them for the aesthetic damages. Well, my goal here was, okay, we're going to make sure that this does not happen again. We're going to make sure that we get this problem fixed now. We get these people the money that they need. I've done a lot of cast iron sewer line claims, so I sort of know what I sort of need to do before even going into any of these things. And the first thing that we need is a plumber. Plumber is most important. Why do you need a plumber? Well, first of all, in all my claims, we make sure we have an expert. This one, we already got the water mitigation company, so they're doing the proper dry out. They're setting up the proper machines to make sure that all this damage that even may still be going on underneath and inside the cabinets, it doesn't turn into mold and doesn't turn into something worse. But we need a plumber. We need a plumber ASAP. I called the plumber before I even went out there, because I was already explained that it was a cast iron problem. There was a backup. So I said, we need a plumber and we need it now. Thankfully, the plumber was able to meet me out there immediately. First thing that we did is we show the plumber everything. Again, from my experience, I already know that if the bathroom is over here and the kitchen's over here and there's another bathroom over here and they're on a sewer in the front of the house, I know sort of how all those lines are running. That just comes from experience. The plumber obviously knows this as well. So, okay, we need to go up to the roof, and what do we need to do? We need to run the camera. Okay, because usually what causes these backups in these old homes, it's cast iron sewer lines. And what's going on with these sewer lines, it could be one of 2 or 3 things. It could be that the pipe is just broken and it's collapsed, so the water's not flowing through it the way it's supposed to. It's just sort of either just going just right down, or the other thing is that you've got a cast iron sewer line that gets very flaky as it gets old, and it starts to build up rust and it builds up all kinds of stuff. And what happens with that is it could cause the water to stop flowing the way it's supposed to. Another thing that's very common is roots that grow inside of these pipes. It is very common because, again, these pipes are so old, they're very fragile and are susceptible to have roots just puncture holes in them. And once you got roots growing inside of the pipe, there's no water that's going to be flowing. So what ends up happening is, very common is, if you have the washing machine running, you're washing your dishes, and you got somebody showering at the same time, when all that water is going into your drain lines underneath the house, it just clogs up, and then ends up backing up. And what happened in this case, it ended up backing up in the master shower and ended up backing up in the kitchen. Pretty severe stuff. So we ran the camera. I already knew sort of what we were probably going to find, but we still obviously have to run the camera anyway, because we need to provide evidence to the insurance company. So that being said, so what we did was basically, I went up to the roof with the plumber. No problem. Okay, we called the plumber. I haven't even filed the claim yet, yet, guys. Have not even filed the claim. We ran up there with the plumber and we ran the camera, and you could see blatantly, just based on some of these photos here that you're going to see now, you can see that this line was shot. And the important thing is not just finding out where the breaks are. It's not just finding that the line is broken. The important thing is actually locating these breaks and seeing where they are, because that's also going to determine what our argument is going to be to the insurance company. Well, we found that there was 2 severe breaks in the house. There was one that was outside of the house, that was at a 90. It basically went out of the kitchen, went straight outside of the house and around the pool. There was a break out there. That to me could be what caused the severe backup in the actual kitchen. And then there was also another break that was inside of the house, in between the kitchen and the bathroom, which led me to believe that could be the break that was causing the damage to the master bathroom. So some pretty severe stuff, right? So now what do we have now? I was called after water mitigation, so we're going to end up having a water mitigation report. Since I was called out, we're going to get my photos and we're going to have an estimate that I'm going to put together. And because we called the plumber, we're going to have a video from the plumber. We're going to have an invoice of the camera and exactly what he found. And then what I'm going to get later on is a proposal from the plumber on what it's going to cost to fix that pipe. And in this case, in order to fix that pipe, we need to basically trench through the house. It's an unfortunate event that needs to, but it's an unfortunate event, but it needs to happen if you're going to fix it correctly so that it doesn't happen again. So even though we didn't have any actual physical tile damage as a result of the water loss, we will have physical tile damage as a result of the access through the floor in order to replace the cast iron sewer line that's underneath the house now. Hope you guys are keeping up. This is a lot of stuff. So automatically, I've got water mitigation documents. I've got my photos. I've got my estimate. I have a plumbing invoice. I have a plumbing video, and I have a plumbing proposal. If I could just scroll you through my file. It's a massive file. I won't do that because I don't want to give the person's name, but it's a pretty big file that we've got. So so that's that. So I haven't even filed the claim yet. The next day, claim gets filed. So now we've already filed the claim. We've already gathered all the documentation. We've done everything that we have to do to basically get this claim moving. So I meet the field adjuster about a week later, and I explain to them the whole situation. Immediately, thankfully, the field adjuster had the desk adjuster's information. So immediately, within a week or two, I'm sending all those 6 things directly to the carrier. Now, here was the issue with this one. This one ended up going pretty much it ended up going the full 90 days that the insurance company has to investigate the claim. Why? I really couldn't tell you. We were following up almost every single week, trying to find out what is going on. Well, if you work for the insurance company and you're watching this video, I hope that you know that by doing so, by not responding to any of our requests, by not responding to any of our emails, you are going against some unfair claims practices acts that have been written down specifically so that doesn't happen. Since I am experienced in doing this for a long time, I made sure that they were aware of that. So in the process, though, they did request a proof of loss to be signed and notarized. We provided them with that. What's next? Then they wanted to do a recorded statement. We provided them with a recorded statement with the insured telling them what's going on. One thing that complicated this claim, which I was actually said to in the beginning, was that there were 2 previous claims. One of them, I can't remember what it was, but it was completely unrelated to this. It was something, I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was another insurance claim that they had filed just about a year or 2 before or more that was directly related to this. And it's like I said, it was a backup that occurred in the bathroom. So what they wanted, the insurance company really wanted was, okay, we've already paid for a claim in the last 2 or 3 years. Well, you guys are claiming a lot of the same stuff. What was paid for and what was repaired? It's not bad to file a claim on something similar as long as what was paid for before the work was actually done. Thankfully, in this case, the insured actually did do all of the work that was paid for. I specifically looked at the estimate that was written, and I specifically looked at all the repairs that were done, and they were able to provide me with some invoices as to the work that was done. It was really just a portion of the shower and the master bedroom. So we were able to provide that. So now that defeats that argument. We're still going based on my estimate that needs to be done. Meanwhile, we're talking almost 3 months that these people could not use the kitchen. Barely could they use the shower. I'll just tell you that when I went in there for a re-inspection with the plumber, which I'm going to get to, it was backed up in the master bathroom at the time. So fast forward almost 90 days, and I get an email from the insurance company, from the adjuster, saying we need to send our own plumber out. You're gonna tell me this 90 days after we file the claim? You're gonna tell me this 90 days after I send you the plumbing documentation? You're gonna tell me this 90 days after I send you photos and just more than enough evidence and videos of the actual line that now you're gonna send your own plumber? It's okay, you could send your own plumber and we will be glad to accept your plumber inside of the home, but it better happen immediately. Because what happened was, I got a call from the plumber that was sent out, or that was requested to do the actual inspection for them, and he told me that he was, I believe it was a month away. It was 3 or 4 weeks for him to get out there. And that to me was absolutely unnecessary, or it was just uncalled for. So I sent an email that I wish I could find, but I can't find it, but that's okay. Maybe I'll attach it or something like that. But I sent an email to the insurance company basically telling them that that's not going to happen. That we're not going to wait a month. That if we're going to wait a month for the plumbing inspection, there's going to be a lawsuit way before that. And I specifically said that in the email, where it was just completely uncalled for, that we weren't going to wait that long when we've already waited this long, and you could have requested a plumber a long time ago. So, that wasn't going to happen. So basically what we did was, the plumber, I guess the adjuster, got in contact with the plumber, and the plumber called me and said, okay, we can be there in a week. It's okay, we'll give you 1 more week, and that's fine. Plumber went out and did his own inspection. Basically, they're doing the same thing that our plumber did, which is they're going to run a camera and they're going to locate where the breaks are. They located the same breaks. The only difference was that he believed that the only thing that was causing this backup was not the break that was inside the house, but was the break that was outside the house. Of course. What a shocker, right? So his report basically stated everything inside was okay, totally clearable, doesn't need to be, gutted and trenched, but the outside one needs to be taken care of. But that's okay. What was our goal here? It's just to get coverage, right? I tell you guys all the time that your goal off the initial, and you should explain this to the insurance, to the policyholder, is your goal is just to get coverage in the beginning. Don't worry about how much is going to get paid. You want to get at least $1, open up coverage, let them know that there is a loss here and it needs to be paid. So we got paid, and the estimate that they came up with was $9,824.95. $9,800 to replace their kitchen, replace their master bathroom, replace all the flooring in the master, and replace all the flooring throughout the house. That's literally impossible. It's impossible. Why? Because their $9,000 only included the kitchen cabinets, and I believe that's it. Maybe something else, probably some paint inside the house and stuff like that, just added up to $9,000. Mind you, that's $9,000, that's before depreciation, that's before deductible. That's just what their estimate was. So $9,000, $9,800 is what they got. So what do? I took a little bit of a risk, okay? Most of you guys who have taken my course and just sort of see how I do things, I'm an appraisal guy. I do like to go to appraisal. Here in the state of Florida, we are allowed to go to, as PAs, we are allowed to be the appraiser on the claims as well. We don't have to hire another appraiser in order to do it. So I did take a little bit of a risk. Why? Because there was a complete disagreement on scope, right? Usually in some states that I know, I believe Texas and some other states, if you have you could only appraise what you've agreed on scope, okay? That's very, very common. Fortunately, it's not like that in Florida. Even if there's a disagreement on scope, because I've done this several times, even if there's a disagreement on scope, if you could present the proper factual evidence that could help your case, you could get that in appraisal, you can get that with an umpire, and they could award it to you. So in this case, it was a little bit of a risk, but I felt that we had a really good case. I mean, I've got the plumber's video, if we've got the damage, they've already admitted coverage, I had everything on my side. I felt like it was the best thing to do. So, we're at about 3 months now. They finally made their coverage decision, so we didn't have to file a lawsuit, and they paid out the $9,800. We've got their plumbing invoice, we've got their stuff, we've done everything that we can, so I file an appraisal immediately. Thankfully, they accept the appraisal. They accept the appraisal because sometimes it can get rejected, but this case, it was accepted, and I was contacted by an appraiser within about a week or two. Sends me his umpire list, I send him my umpire list, we agree on an umpire, and everything is good to go. So, funny thing was, with this appraisal, and with this appraiser, I actually had 2 other appraisals with the same appraiser, 2 different claims on the same day. So that me and him were just sort of hanging out all day. It was, let's go to this one at this time, the next one we'll do this one, and next one we'll do this one. Well, right off the bat, super nice guy, really great guy. But the only thing I didn't like was that right off the bat, he was complaining to me about just the industry and how the industry and the amount of fraud. Industry and fraud and public adjusters and, people who commit fraud and stuff like that. That makes me feel uncomfortable, only because, for one, that's not my style. That's not how we do things, and that's not how I think anybody should do things. There should be no fraud, okay? I mean, it's like anything else. You've got your bad apples. But if your opinion of that if that's your opinion of the entire industry as a whole already, then we're starting off on the wrong foot. So instead of me getting upset or anything like that, I stated my case. I stated my reasons for why I sort of disagree with him, how you've got your bad apples every once in a while, but for the most part, honestly, you're going to notice that these 3 claims that we're going to walk through, super legitimate claims. So, we did okay. We ended up settling all 3 appraisals that day. But anyway, we went out to the appraisal for this last one, and basically the insured was home, and thankfully as while we were there, I did find that it was important to explain to the appraiser the severity of the situation. We've got several things working against us here. We got just one thing working against us, which is our biggest disagreement on scope, which is the big part. I believe my estimate was like $60-something thousand, and they were only at 9. So we have quite the big difference to catch up on here. So I wanted to basically explain to him the severity of the situation, and I also, more importantly, I really did want the insured to explain it to him as well. So while we were on the property, I asked the insured, really lovely lady, school teacher, just a nice lady. I asked her to explain exactly, what was going on in the situation that she has been living with for the past 3 months. Turns out it's pretty brutal. I mean, we went and you could see that there's dirty water. I'm talking poop water inside of her shower that she needs to wait for it to drain before she could shower again. You could see that the kitchen it's collapsing. There's not really much left in the kitchen. And all this has to do with the cast iron sewer line. On top of that, it's not the first claim that they have filed on this sewer line. So if he doesn't agree to scope right now, if we can't get him to agree to the scope, we're in trouble, because all it's going to be, besides the fact that it's only going to be a couple $1,000s more, she will not have enough money to do what needs to be done for this problem not to happen again. If she replaces her kitchen and she fixes her bathroom, it doesn't matter, because as long as that cast iron sewer line is not repaired and replaced, it's going to happen again. So what's the point of replacing your kitchen if the actual root of the problem hasn't been fixed? Well, I asked the insured while we were at the house. The 3 of us explained to him what's going on. She ended up breaking down, crying, telling and explaining to him the situation. Why can't the insurance company just pay what I need? I don't need that much money. I just need to replace this pipe underneath the house. It's causing it to back up in my shower, where I can't take a shower for longer than 5 minutes and have to wait almost a day for it to just drain through. I've got the kitchen I can no longer use. I love to cook, and I'm not allowed to cook anymore because my kitchen is pretty much unusable. We have to spend more money on eating out all the time, and it's just very inconvenient for my life. On top of that, we're going through COVID-19. I'm a school teacher. I have to teach my kids through Zoom, and none of them are over the age of 5. It's an absolute nightmare, and I don't know what to do with myself, and waterfall started going down. I mean, I felt for her. I felt terrible. But I honestly did ask that question because I had a feeling that was going to be the reaction as well. But coming from me and coming from the actual homeowner, it's very different. So just a word of advice: if it's the case, if it's something like that, don't be afraid to ask the homeowner while an opposing adjuster or somebody is there, to explain to them, humanize the situation to make it real. Not just some numbers, some remove and replace, some painting and some drywall, not stuff like that. Not some plumbing invoice of somebody who's just writing something. Humanize it to understand what the people are actually going through. I try to tell people to say that to the desk adjusters as much as possible as well. Whenever you're talking to an adjuster, remind them of what's going on here in this house and the severity of the situation and what these people have to live with and what you and I are trying to come to an agreement on so we can put these people back together again. I was going to say to make a long story short, but it's already long. So we went through the whole thing. He was very apologetic. And the reason why she really started crying was he did mention that fraud thing again. And that's when she really started bawling, crying. But anyway, we walk outside. We look each other in the eye. And he's like, Vince, I'm going to do what I can to help this woman out. And I said, please do. He called me, maybe less than 48 hours later. And we start going back and forth. And yeah, I mean, I can give you the ins and outs of the negotiation, but we ended up settling on on $60,000, $57,016. So we went from $9,000 to $57,000, just like that. And we were able to settle it. Great phone call to make to the client. I mean, just thrilled, just so happy. I really wish, what I wanted to do on some of these case studies was to give you the after photos, but they're still in the process of doing the repairs. So maybe we'll come back at this somehow, but they are very happy. Everyone's happy. They've got enough money to do what they have to do. They're going to get to replace that cast iron sewer line so that they never have that problem again. They're going to get to replace that kitchen. You know, the husband is actually a chef himself, so now they're going to get to use their kitchen again. And it was a really, really, really great ending to quite a long 90 days. It ended up probably being about 4 months to really settle this claim. But, you know, we were able to do it. And we didn't have to go to litigation. We didn't have to wait a year or 2 years. We were able to do it ourselves with the proper evidence, with the proper documentation, you know, with just all the proper things that need to be done. Remember, I was there for a day, almost a day and a half before we even filed the claim to present the claim correctly. And at the end of the day, at the end of it all worked out because of the evidence that we were able to provide, and the photos and the documentation, everything. So that's pretty much my case study, okay? That's the cast iron plumbing case study. Just recently we settled that one, so it turned out all right. And that's it. That's all I got, man. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. You know, it was pretty cool. When I was thinking about doing this, that was sort of the first claim that came across my mind. So I think it's a good one. They are very happy. I'm happy that they're happy, and I'm happy that we're all happy. So that's how that is. So that's it. That's all I got. We'll do this case study, I don't know, maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months. I got so many of these that I could probably come out with this every day for a year with all the stories that we have of these claims. So I hope you enjoyed that one. And that's it. Just make sure that you follow us on social media right here. Whoop, there, all these three. Please do. Please follow us. Also make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Okay. And we're doing free webinars. We're doing podcasts. We're going overdrive right now until the end of the year. All right. So stay tuned. There's a lot of stuff. What I can honestly tell you is also sign up for our newsletter and sign up for our email list so that you know when all these things are coming out, because we're going into overdrive here to end the year. So get ready. There's going to be a lot of really cool content that we're going to have. So that's all I got. That's all I got. I got nothing else. Can I think of anything else? There's nothing else. All right. My advocates, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for following. And I look forward to providing you with a ton more content, baby. All right. See you later. Bye.